Oh, today's going to be a good one. Look who we got.
You guarantee it?
I personally guarantee it.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
So I think that was a Men's Warehouse thing. I personally guarantee it. Does that sound right to you?
No, but I'm not only
The owner. He was.
I'm not only the president, but I'm a client. I remember that one.
Yeah. That was. That's good. All right. So if y'all know what I'm talking about, let me know so I can know what I'm talking about. Anyway, hey, thanks so much for tuning in to No Vacancy Live. We got Anthony Melchiori in the house. I'm Glenn Hausman. So excited that each and every one of you are with us today. So, Anthony, we're going to be delving more into what's going on with hospitality education. But before we get into that, man, you've been predicting this for a while. It has come to pass. It has come to pass.
I just want to know, do I get a trophy?
Yeah, man. It's in the mail. It's coming from Team Muse, so it's going to be a little while. So no big deal. I had to give them all my personal information and all of that, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, hey, $210 million looks like it's a great deal for all sides of it. For Hilton, it's great because they really needed another product like this. That's kind of a soft brand type of thing. That's got a different point of view than other brands out there. So how are you thinking about this deal?
You didn't announce the deal. You didn't tell everybody what it was.
Yeah, I did. Hilton has bought Graduate Hotels for $210 million. Boom.
You said $210 million Hilton bought, but I don't think you said Graduate Hotel.
I have no idea. I'm very confused this morning. I'm a little starstruck getting to see you on screen with me today. It's been too long.
Did he say, nice call, Anthony? Say ha ha ha. I know you.
Yeah, nice call, Anthony. You've been
basically Hilton bought Graduate for $210 million.
Yes. Specifically, Anthony, just so people could understand, they have all rights to the Graduate brand globally and enter into franchise agreements for all existing and signed pipeline Graduate hotels and responsible for the brand's future development growth. AJ Capital will remain the owner of more than 35 operating Graduate pipelines. Each will now have a long-term operating agreement with Hilton.
Right. So let's make clear to the people that have been doing this a long time when you say what we're talking about. The people who haven't understand they're buying the Graduate name with the contracts that are in place, and they're buying the pipeline. I think it's 36 hotels that are already built, and then there's a pipeline. So they're buying that. They may have some interest in the dirt, in the real estate. I don't think they do, but basically they're buying the Graduate properties, and they basically now the owners of the Graduate buildings and Hilton are now in bed together.
Correct.
So that's why it's going for $210 million and not $3 billion.
Right. Because real estate is not involved in the transaction.
It's very, very interesting. Now, I just had a conversation with a friend of mine this morning that owns 50 hotels, and he's like, interesting. I was like, yeah. And I think it's interesting, and I think it's very smart of them because I don't think they're known as a sexy brand. I don't think they have a real sexy kind of lifestyle brand. I think this is kind of sexy, kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And it also goes to a younger demographic of kids that are around the college campuses, their parents that come in, and they're introduced to a completely different brand. And listen, like I said, I've been calling from this from 2-3 years now. And I'm also glad they're the brand that bought it. And I won't say why, but for a number of reasons, I think they're the best brand to buy it.
Agreed. I think it's going to be a nice compliment to brands that they already have, such as a Curio collection, for example.
And I think it's time for Kevin to come back on our show. What do you think?
Yeah, let's. I'm going to probably wind up seeing that gentleman next week at the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. But for today, I want to get to the bottom of what's going on in hospitality education. All right, so that's why we got back a friend of the show. I'm one of his biggest fans out there, Dr. Peter Ricci, director.
Hello.
Florida Atlantic University. Yeah, he used to teach, but he really wanted to direct. How you doing, Peter?
Excellent. And the best part is teaching. I'm excited for the Graduate thing too, because it is a very sexy brand, and it fits right into Hilton. And what I like is Hilton is one of the best recruiters of the younger generation. They have really, really good tools that they do to go after the new people entering the workplace. So I think it's a great match for their style too. So it's
So
really
give me,
exciting.
so give me an example of one of the tools they use that you think is really cool.
They have like on-campus ambassadors. So they will have a person at each university that they partner with that goes around and just talks Hilton stuff to their peers on campus. Why you should work there, what they like about their job. They usually work during school, and it gets them connected, humans with a younger demographic, in most cases 18 to 30. Another thing they do is they have social media type platforms where applicants and admits to their manager training programs can connect together. I haven't seen it in a while, but I know they have that kind of tool. And they also do some great training with the modern style of avatar interviewing. So they prep the students. This is what your initial interview will be like. These are the types of questions, and they actually use modern, sophisticated AI in their first interview process. So they do things very forward-looking versus backward-looking, and their culture is very up and vibrant. So I just think it'll match really well with that brand.
Well, we're the number one company in the country to work for, and that's really great. Like, we should take pride in that. It's a hospitality company that is the number one company to work for. So,
well, I can tell you, if I email Chris Nassetta now, he'll write back to me within an hour. It's just his style, and he has the right people in place to make that happen. And among alumni that I have, remember, we're only about 15 to 17 years old, but we have a couple of thousand alumni, and the Hilton corporate property alumni seem to stay at that brand indefinitely. I have them since they graduate straight through. So they do something right in the culture, obviously.
So we were trying to get Mr. Nassetta on our show for a while. So maybe you can send the email on Glenn's behalf, because he doesn't get a return message.
I used to get return messages. I sent one earlier this year. I'm going to assume it got stuck in spam because I have not heard back from
So
him.
we have to use Peter's juice.
Yeah.
Well, I will do my best to say hello and say congrats on graduate, and please go on No Vacancy Live.
Also, one question on that when it comes to people sticking with that brand. It's not, to me, it's not just the culture, but it's the fact that company continues to grow, thereby offering more opportunities for its associates. And now by getting plugged into Hilton, that could really unlock opportunity for a lot of people.
Well, it ties right into the education conversation as well, because it's all culture that's keeping people in the business right now. We're struggling like crazy to get people into the business. Well, first of all, let's start with education. We're struggling to get them to study hospitality and or get into the business because we had such a negative ride through the pandemic. Yep. But what keeps a lot of my alumni at Hilton is their stock options, their PTO. They're encouraged to actually take PTO now compared to historic times where it was a badge of honor to keep your PTO. And they do things in a very associate-focused, manager-focused mentality. So they share with me some of their creativity, and they're just allowed to be themselves, so to speak. So I think that keeps them.
And I think a brand like this, if I'm a person working in a regular Hilton, and I'm a younger person, and I see they have the graduate brand, I can go be a GM at the graduate brand. Personally, like, I wouldn't want to run a Hilton or a Marriott. I want to run a graduate brand. I want to run something different, weird, sexy, interesting, that's not associated really with that brand that you think about when you think about the brands for the last 20, 30 years. So for internally, it's just another carrot. Like when Marriott got, the Ritz, now Marriott people get to work at a 5-star hotel.
Right.
And it's really, it keeps people in the mix and it keeps people excited.
I can tell you, when Marriott was here to recruit for the Voyage program, they're also making major jumps into connecting with younger generations in their style and their processes, in their QR codes, in discussing the Voyage program and what you can do and talking about DEI initiatives. I mean, I'm super impressed with the Marriott Voyage program recruiters. They've been twice now in the past 12 months to campus. And
I've never heard of this program. What is that?
So they have a management training program titled Voyage, and you join as a voyager. Mm-hmm. And you pick the area or the discipline that you're good at, whether it's finance, accounting, operations, and they have about, I want to say about 300 to 500 globally. I know the recruiter told me they're very happy because in our region in the Southeast, they're only down to 15 or 20 openings remaining, so they're getting them filled. The salary is very adequate depending on geographic area. It's 50 to 60,000 to start. Mm-hmm. And upon successful completion of the rotation, which I want to say is 12 months, but don't quote me, I'm not positive. But then you are placed into an entry-level manager role. So it's really nice that they break it out by disciplines,
right? And
that they have more variety now. And back in the day, it was always operations or finance, and that was kind of, now we see things like IT tracks, or we see finance and accounting and revenue tracks, just a little broader.
That makes sense. Because Peter, one of the things that really attracted me to talking about and covering the hospitality industry, it's so many different businesses in one that you can't really put them into buckets. So by focusing a little bit more on some specialties within the industry, I think that's a fascinating idea.
Well, it's great you say that, because I had the pleasure to interview Christine Duffy for our next certificate, the president of Carnival Cruise Line. Yep. And in some of our closing comments together, she wanted to be a flight attendant for her initial job. And she's too short. She's 5'2". So yep. She couldn't get in. So she went to work at a travel agency as a receptionist and moved all the way up to president. So in the conversations, we talked about,
wow, that's weird. I'm sorry, because Lisa Lutoff-Perlo, who also achieved president status at a cruise line, also is at a travel agency. Sorry.
Interesting. Yeah. But she's just a fascinating, vibrant, great role model for me to use as an example to my students. But what I really love is the way she looks at the industry. She said, you may come work for a cruise line, yes, but you could be an engineer. You could be one of our doctors or nurses on staff. Mm-hmm. You might be in environmental protection. Each ship has an environmental officer. You could work in the finance office and never set foot on a ship and do analytics. So we are a business, and that's an ongoing mission for me to tell everybody, is that we are a business, and we need smart, business-minded folks in every area.
Absolutely. And I just learned something. I did not know there was a height requirement to be a flight attendant, but it makes perfect sense because you can't get up to the luggage rack above your head.
Correct.
I was in the Air Force, and I was on the Honor Guard, and that was good. And people wanted me to get on the National Honor Guard, which is the Air Force Honor Guard you see, in the media. And I was like, I'll think about it. And then somebody says to me, no, you can't think about it. I go, why? It's like, you're only 5'7". I was like, first of all, I'm 5'7.5". And second of all, why? And they go, you have to be 5'10", at least 5'10", because when they're all in the line, they all got to be. You can't line. It's like a rocket, right? You can't have all the people. Then you have a short person. So yeah, it makes sense.
And I hope Christine doesn't now remember that one of my takeaways is that she's 5'2", but she made a very valid point that one door closes and one door opens. And, she is one of the most vibrant leaders in our industry. And she didn't take that as a negative because there's so many things to do. I mean, there's just so many things. And then, talking about education, I got an email today from my friend who now runs Oklahoma State's program. And he proudly announced that they're in the business school. They just got their AACSB accreditation, Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business. And more of us nationally are moving into the business school. We were one of the first 20, and I think that's going to be the model through 2050 and 3000. That's where
tell me, I never understood that, because when Cornell did it, I was like, is that good or bad? Like, tell me why that's good.
Okay, so In our case, the original schools had a degree called a Bachelor of Business Administration, a BBA. You have to take the entire same curriculum that any business student would take. So if you're an accounting major, finance, marketing, operations, IT, you all take a core column. And that's 2 accounting classes, 2 economics, statistics, calculus, organizational behavior, analytics, quantitative stuff, all the business skills silo. And then you take your icing on the cake in hospitality specific. So you take guest relations, hotel ops, food and beverage. And so it blends a core business degree with hospitality and tourism, exactly where I thought we've always should have been on the education side versus the 1950s to 90s where we taught more vocationally, etiquette, wine choices, serving skills. You need those as well, but now it's more KPIs, profit and loss statement, etc. And they were not in the degree. My background is I have a bachelor's in sociology and a master's in recreation and tourism. When I got my first director of sales job, I didn't know what the STAR report was.
Right.
I didn't know how to calculate indexes because I didn't have the business school foundation. So I had to learn all that on the fly. So now the modern movement is instead of the BBA, because the students don't really need calculus, they don't really need some of the heavy duty courses. A lot of the schools are moving to a Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts in hospitality, but housed in a business school. So you're still getting core curriculum and hospitality together.
And if you don't want to go into hospitality, you still have a business degree that helps you get a job.
Absolutely.
And I would imagine people in other tracks in the business school say, what's going on at the hospitality place over there? And they come to your school.
Absolutely. Like in my case, I have ITOM majors, information technology and operations management. Some of them are in purchasing and logistics and IT for the cruise line, so they do a minor in hospitality. I have 3 accounting majors this semester who work at Disney, so they're doing a minor in hospitality, but their pure core is in accounting. God saved me from going into accounting. And then, of course, we have the regular management and entrepreneurship major. I have a young man right now who's outstanding. He's an entrepreneurship major. He patented his own fishing lure at the age of 15. He's a charter boat captain, and he's doing his minor in hospitality. But he needs to know how to get capital to buy his own boat and how to understand business talk. So he came to hospitality business school.
How old is he?
He's now 20. He's about to graduate in another year. He fishes and.
You know where he's originally from?
He's from here in Coral Springs, Florida.
Oh, it sounds like a friend of mine's son.
That's so awesome. And he's amazing. I mean, he fishes, with his clients 30, 40 hours a week, goes to school full time, maintains a 3.7. I mean, come on, amazing kid.
Yeah, those are kids you don't mind putting all the resources behind because
Absolutely. And to your point, I would say about 75% of our graduates go into traditional hospitality businesses. The other 25% do anything in business, but do it better. If they're in financial planning, they're better at responsiveness to their clients. If they're the practice manager for a dentist, they're better at dealing with patients and filing insurance claims on time because we've taught them the hospitality skills. A lot of the deans of the freestanding colleges, they disagree with me on needing to be in a business school. So I'm a little opinionated on that to an extent. Yeah. But for me, it was personal because I had a master's. I was a cocky 25-year-old, but I didn't know crap from anything when I went into business,
Ask me all the time, should I go into a business school, get a business degree, or a hospitality school? And I hate to admit it. First I say try to find a hospitality school that is in a business school. But if that doesn't work, get a business degree and go work in a hotel during college.
Right.
But to me, a pure hospitality degree without any sense of business or experience, vice versa, is a problem.
Right.
Right.
And I will give credit to the great freestanding programs like FIU and UCF. They've done a lot to infuse more business courses into their curriculum. Now, remember, if you're a hospitality freestanding school, you will teach a hospitality purchasing or a hospitality finance or hospitality accounting class, but those classes are not taught by accounting faculty or finance faculty. They're taught by hospitality faculty. So I've always considered that watered down. So in the business school, you take entrepreneurship, it's taught by a cutting edge entrepreneurship faculty member. You take accounting, the same thing from an accounting member. So I think that's better for your learning is the diversity of.
Except for FIU, which is the best school in the country, and everybody listening to this should enroll in FIU.
Hold on 1 second. We got to.
Peter School bad, FIU good.
Wait, I have a call.
Well, listen, we both started at Bristol Hotels and Resorts together. So even though we are in the state school system together, we are still collaboration before competition.
Absolutely. And we need the diversity because Anthony and Glenn, if I want to go into catering and events, and I don't want anything to do with the P&Ls in the background, except a little bit when it's time to get my bonus. I'm a creative person. I want to know more client skills. So there's a place for everybody. I think what you're seeing in hospitality education is this movement in the middle where we're blending business with hospitality. Post-COVID, it makes also a lot of sense because our enrollments are down globally. So by moving into the business model, you're attracting a management major who wants some hospitality skills, or a marketing person that's going to go work at Sendine or Tambourine or one of these marketing agencies in hospitality. So they do minors with us.
I think
that's good.
Every degree, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, or you're selling lemonade and you get a degree in lemonade sales, you should have a hospitality minor because, listen, we've all had good lawyers, bad doctors, good lawyers. Yep. It comes down to, when look people in the eye and be nice to them, right? So
absolutely,
we're all dealing with clients that are, they're all over the place, right? We've all operated and run in hotels. And at the end of the day, the thing that people say to me, why are we not doing this? Or why are we not doing this? Or why is this working? Why isn't that working? The number one priority of any business is service. Then after service is service. And then after service is service. So what does that service mean? It doesn't mean that you have to be in a hotel business. What does that mean? When a client calls you, we had a rule when I was running a hotel in New York City that if you're on lunch, someone's got to answer that phone call. It's like, well, I don't care. Somebody else is a salesperson. Well, they'll take my client. I don't care. Send it to me. You will get, because in New York City,
right?
At least when I was running a hotel in New York City, like nobody answered their phone. They all went to voicemail. And so we had rules. That's rule number one of service. Answer a damn phone call and talk to people that want to buy your product. Number two, look them in the eye and ask open-ended questions so you can get them to be in charge of the call. We follow up and do what you say you're going to do. Why can't we do that in business? In every business, whether it's a government-run business or whether it's an independent business, why can't we do that? Why when I walk into hotels, an employee can't feel my presence in the lobby? Why? Because they're not that. They're not talking.
No excuse.
If you're a night auditor and you're on the phone and it's 2:00 in the morning, all right, you're on your phone, whatever. I don't care. What I care about is if you hear that door open and you hear my footsteps, put the damn phone down. Don't look up, look at the phone, look up, look at the phone, wait till I get to the front desk. Like, these are easy things to teach people. I'm sorry. People.
Absolutely. I had a young man that you'll appreciate. He was a biology major. This was early when I was teaching at FAU or maybe the tail end of UCF. Right. But I think it was FAU. He came to me as a biology major. He was a junior and he wanted to minor in hospitality. And I said, why? What are you planning to do? And he wanted to go work at Target as a pharmacist. And his eventual goal was to be a store manager. So he said, I need some business college courses outside of biology, became a hospitality minor, graduated, went to pharmacy school at University of Florida, and he's been with Target now for 15 years. He's
Wow.
a regional VP. But he knew going in that he needed people skills to be a better pharmacist than what he dealt with at his visits to the pharmacy. And I commended him. So he was an early spark for me of thinking of the usefulness of hospitality as a skill set for everybody. I think Cal Poly was one of the first schools to start teaching experience management and trying to cross all majors so they have some concept of managing the guest human interaction, you know?
And I think why in a lot of places in Asia have a leg up on America is because they learn that in their culture when they're in, kindergarten, pre-K.
Absolutely.
They learn that being gracious and being hospitable and being of service, that's a core ingredient in their DNA. So the time they get into, why do we have to train people to be nice? Everything I learned in kindergarten, where's that book? Everything I learned in kindergarten, those books have been written. Why do we, at 20 years old, do I have to teach people when you're talking to me, put your damn phone down? When you're on a national television show and people putting money into you and the call time's at 7:00, you don't show up at 7:05. Okay.
Right.
5 out of 6 candidates of the new show showed up, late. Why do I have to tell somebody go get an iron to iron your shirt? Like I shouldn't be teaching you home economics classes.
Right.
It's those soft skills that keep coming back around that employers keep asking for. And you're right. Why are we teaching that component? And sadly, I think COVID has now continued to make that worse because of the time in which people are remote and leveraging technology and getting lost in it. They're not answering the phone. They're fine and comfortable being hidden behind a device instead of in front of it. And that makes it even more challenging.
You know what it is? It's people tolerating it. It's parents tolerating it. It's mid-level managers tolerating it. It's leaders tolerating it. And it's putting in a bag of kids today. Bullshit. I call bullshit. It's not kids today. Okay? Kids today work really, really hard. Some kids don't work hard. When we were growing up in this business, some people sucked at what they did and they were lazy. And some people were high performers. We have the same thing in every generation. But if we say to a high performing kid, it's okay when you're talking to me to look at your phone, he's going to accept that. Even though he's a high performing kid, he's going to accept that as, well, I'm a high performing kid, so I get away with it.
Yeah, actually, one of my sons is home and had a friend over, and the three of us were eating dinner together. And the friend is like trying to watch a YouTube video while we're eating dinner, and I'm like, "Yo, bro, that's not going to be happening over here. Phones down."
What did the kid say?
He'd listened, but he's the type of kid that you need to like tell it just like it is in order to get.
When my daughter's friends used to come over in high school and stuff, we used to have like everybody, there's the counter, all the phones go to the counter.
Yep. Good.
That's it. You don't get them on your lap. You don't get them in your bag. Put them on the counter where I can put your hands where I can see them. Right.
Right.
And when, I remember a story during Sandy, when we had to move out of our neighborhood because we lived at the beach, near the beach. We went to Brooklyn and we lived at Grandpa's house. I stayed in the house trying to get the house ready. And my children lived at Grandpa's house for about 2 weeks. To the older house, small house, and they all lived in the living room, and they all literally slept on the living room floor in sleeping bags and on couches.
Yep.
And when I came to get them, said, "Listen, we're moving in now. You can come home tonight." They're like, "Can we spend one more night with Grandpa?" Yep. Now, at Grandpa's house, they weren't allowed to be on the phone. There's no internet at Grandpa's house, okay? So they really couldn't be on the phone. But they still talk about all the stories about Grandpa. So when kids are taught to engage, they want to engage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
It's one of the things I actually do with Cub Scouts because I run my son's Cub Scout pack. We don't allow phones on campouts and in any of the activities that we do. I actually, believe it or not, have more girls joining our boy or Cub Scout pack because the Girl Scouts don't necessarily stop that in some of the meetings, and our kids are out there and doing stuff. So at least if maybe I can't control all of the college kids. I can try and influence them, but I'm really starting on those elementary school kids.
All right. So while we could really have a deep dive into the psychology of the United States as to why we allow this to happen, my guess is it has to do with a lot of overworked parents, and it allows the babysitting thing to happen, which creates the habits. But the fact is, we have to deal with that now. So, Peter, one of the problems that I'm hearing, and as a member of the Long Island Hospitality Association, we regularly engage with other board members who happen to be at the schools. One of them is totally eliminating the hospitality program. Another one is doing what you said, folding it into the business program, but they lose the chairmanship. And in that particular case, they don't see it the same way as you do. So not only that, but we're not really connecting with students. So we understand what the problems are. How are we realistically going to fix this? Because I'm sensing it's a lot of blaming kids for not being interested and not really a lot of embracing new ways of connecting with students. I feel like it's the same old, same old. We're going to go to high schools and talk to them and then call it a day.
Well, it's a lot to unpack there. We're not a sexy business right now. We've lost the sexiness. So,
right.
And it's funny what you said about blending in and losing the chairmanship. That's why my friend Bridge at Oklahoma State emailed me today, because he was the only department in the College of Business that wasn't AACSB accredited. So his email said, now I can sit at the same table.
Right.
Because we are always perceived in academia as the redheaded stepchildren.
Right.
Because we don't have outstanding, long history, very academic, peer-reviewed journals. And that means nothing to the outside world in industry, but in academia, it means everything for tenured professors. So it's been a rough ride. And to talk about programs closing, in South Florida, we closed in the past decade the Art Institute, which had a culinary program, Le Cordon Bleu, Johnson & Wales, and there was one Lincoln Culinary Institute in West Palm Beach. So every culinary training ground, except for Miami-Dade, which has a very strong culinary program,
right,
went away. And the reason for that is the students that were emerging, they really couldn't pay their student loans on line cook salaries. So
right.
Fast forward now to post-pandemic, you have everybody remote, everybody home for months. You have the parents who all lost their jobs telling their kids, hey, don't work at this, don't work at that. So now you have the bubble of those students coming through the pipeline. So I see the worst being 2022 to 2026. And then we will start to move forward, because we've already, in our case, and I transparently share our butts and seats with how I calculate attendance, we had 1,310 as our high point. We started in 2005. Every year had an increase, every year. And after pandemic, we went all the way to 412. So if you have full-time staff, you can't keep them with those numbers. Luckily, this semester, I'm back to 1,050. So take that on a global level and say everybody's back to about 80%. And that's just throwing it out there. It might be 70, it might be 91, but it's not where we were. And the industry already had a higher need for staff than we could provide. So we've sliced this piece of the cake away, and now we're in the rebranding. So to go younger, more engagement, starting at the middle school level, and we need we really need the National Restaurant Association, American Hotel Lodging, MPI. We need sexy, fun videos to get to the youngest people in our society.
Yes.
And
right.
to start thinking of us as a career. Now, it's March 14th, 2024, right? We could have the same conversation March 14th, 1985. It's always something in hospitality about the sexiness, about the long hours, or the lack of sexiness, the long hours, and the pay. Well, the pay issue's gone away. We pay well now, entry level. And I just think we're on a course for success, but we're in the post-pandemic bubble for a little while. I'm a half glass full. You know that, guys. So I take among my 1,000 students in seats the 300 that have Anthony's passion, and I go, hey, come on, get in here. I found a job for you. And you know what? There's jobs everywhere.
Yeah, and so Peter, so tell everybody why they should watch Hotel All Stars, because you're a big fan of the show. I see. You follow me?
Absolutely, because you're showing them what the reality is and the fun is. I mean, we make good money, we have fun. I'm going on a Carnival cruise tomorrow because I interviewed Christine Duffy, and she inspired me to go book a cruise the next day. And we're service humans. In post-pandemic, we all want experiences with people. We missed it. We want it. So work in the business where we do that and have some fun.
You're forced to do it. Like there's a lot of businesses where you're not forced to do it because you can hide in a cubicle. Like if you're a lawyer, you can do your whatever you have to do, and then you can go play wherever you need to play online. Whereas in the hotel business, you're going to get run over if you're on your phone too long. I just came from Cullen Hotels out in Boston, who I work with, and I love them. They're my favorite people. And we did executive development class. And you took people together, put them in, and these are very senior people who are amazing at what they do. And we basically gave them a project to come up with a hotel adjacent business. Okay. And there was 2 projects. You would have thought in 2 hours, I gave them 2 hours with a lot of rules. And in those 2 hours, I could have literally, they were both great, but the winner could have been on Shark Tank. Like literally, I would have said, you're ready for Shark Tank. That's how good the presentation was. They had videos. They had fun. They had people who were usually conservative, screaming and yelling, and they're taking pictures. They're doing videos. And if you look at my LinkedIn, I actually took some of the pictures, and it was like I really like that day. I was so happy. I was happy because man, we have a great business. I was more excited than anybody in that room of how everybody came together and was having fun. And like you said, the name of our industry should be called fun.
And it's to top that off. If you want to be in your cubicle and be a lawyer, or you like predictive analytics and you want to play in Power BI all day, there's a place for you in our business too. And guess what? You get discounted rooms, you get discounted crews, and you work with fun people. So you can do those kind of jobs and be an IT installer of smart TVs and do it in hospitality. It's still more fun. Still more fun.
Absolutely.
For sure. And I just want to do a quick shout out to our friend Ashley Johnson, who's executive director at the Marriott R&E Sorensen School at Howard University. Because Peter, she came on last year and was preaching this, finding people that are on other tracks and say, no, you don't have to be a CFO in that industry. You could do that in hospitality. So I love that idea. And Suzanne, I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, it all comes back to the epiphany that the contestants on Anthony's show had seen, where they are not hospitality candidates right now, and learning and experiencing what that is. And so I think and this is where I have continued to see some of the challenges, people don't truly, to Peter's point, understand what our industry is and all the caveats that can go with it. And that's that passion, fun, and inspiration that we all have to generate.
And I'm sorry, Glenn, and you learned something else. You learned standards. Right? Because I don't care who you are, we all want to be held to a standard. Very few people, probably the people that you know in your lives that are the least happy are people that don't have people holding them to a standard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. So, Peter, I think we need to roll out a national campaign on getting people involved in hospitality to get them to understand. See if you guys beat me. But I think the tagline should be, if you love it, we've got that. Right?
I like it.
So whatever your passion is, you're covered in hospitality. So
I like it.
Let's see if we
like
can
it a lot.
Run it up the flagpole.
You have to also remember when, and I don't want to use young always as the demographic because people switch into our business at 60. Yeah. But when your first job is going to be a busser or a server assistant or something like that, you don't see us as an industry,
right?
Because you're focused on your job. So part of our issue is career pathing and showing that, yes, you may not have liked that entry level job, but look at what the owner has done. She started as a dishwasher. Now she owns 5 restaurants. So I'm constantly talking big picture because the students get siloed in this is a job that I'm doing on the way to somewhere else. And I'm an example of that. I worked fine dining all through high school and college and events and catering, but my goal was law school. I didn't think hospitality. I went to law school for a month and hated it. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I like doing everything else. So we have to constantly do a campaign on messaging. If there's any place that the industry leaders could help hospitality education, it's with funding to get communications to younger people. To Anthony's point on his show, that's the message that we need to get out broadly.
And a big shout out to American Hotel and Lodging Association. They funded the entire show.
Right.
Funded every penny of the show.
Yeah, here's our ad campaign. We have top people in the hospitality business, right? It says now CEO, first job cleaning dishes or something like that, right? I think of our buddy Anthony Tony Usfi over at Venetian, who's the top salesperson. He runs the whole convention department. He started signing up people for loyalty cards.
And how about the chairman of MGM?
Yes,
he started as a busboy, right? Mm-hmm. How about all of us? Like, how about me? I started, selling hot dogs, busboy. But there's also that. But this is another thing that we have to understand when people are coming to our industry. You will die in this industry and not be successful. You can have service standards, you can have all that. But if you don't have curiosity, you will not be successful in this industry. Because that busboy, the person that won the Employee of the Year for all of Margaritaville hotels and restaurants is a gentleman out of Hollywood. And he's actually showcased on my show. And he's amazing. And he just has it and loves it. And when you ask him, why do you love it? He looks at me like, I don't know what you do, but your job is not even half as cool as my job. So my daughter was down there last week, and I said, I can't remember the gentleman's name. Said, did you see the gentleman with his hat on backwards running around the dining room making a fool of himself? And she says, yeah, and unfortunately he wasn't my waiter. I love that guy. I go, well, that guy has been in Margaritaville in restaurants and hotels for 20-something years. He's not a kid. He's probably in his 40s, he's probably late 30s. And he's like, and I knew she would know who he is because he stands out. So when you walk into that dining room, you want that guy to be your waiter. He's curious. He's curious about that little kid. He talks to me. He was asking me questions. And he was talking to me like I was going to do brain surgery on him. Like if you don't have curiosity in this business, because if you look at all of us, right? Glenn's not in the inner business operation, but he's curious about it, and he's a real good advocate for our industry. Every one of us, you guys were, in the business, and you were curious about teaching the business. And, I'm curious about every element of the business. I just got off with a client. I was like, oh, my God, yes, I'd love that. So you have to be curious, man. The second this becomes a job, it's over.
Right. Yeah. And, another thing that we're doing, 3 or 4 very creative faculty members created an initiative called Hospitality Internships, LLC. And they were smart enough. And Glenn will be there tomorrow. Yeah. And Suzanne and I were doing an all-day virtual career fair. But what I really like about their initiative is they threw the net out at all hospitality schools. 2-year vocational, certificate, 4-year doctoral, and they have a massive global list. And so we're helping get the word out to young people that you can get paid to have fun. The main contacts at University of Memphis, his name's Tim Floor. But if you just go on LinkedIn or Google and put Hospitality Internships LLC, if you're an employer watching this, it's free or very inexpensive to source out and find students. You have to have paid internships or paid manager and training programs, and we're going to spread all that info to the world. And there's a faculty member at FIU, Lisa, who's involved. There's a third person, I forget what university he's in, but they took Lisa Kane, is her name, and they took the initiative. Robert Thompson. I don't remember.
I want you to know Suzanne is feeding me all of these names.
You guys got to do me a favor, because there's a young lady going to the University of Pennsylvania that's a dear friend of our family, and I'm trying to get her an internship this summer, and I can't get her an internship. So
there's plenty. And Glenn will be on a panel. I think Suzanne's on a panel.
Anthony and I are both tomorrow at 8 a.m. So let me do the whole spiel. Peter, you launched it up. But listen, we all complain about not being able to connect with the right people at the pre-property level, right? People that are curious. Well, folks that are curious are going to be joining us for the Hospitality Internships Virtual Career Fair tomorrow. Kicks off at 8 a.m., runs through 3 p.m. I've got it on my social media pages. Suzanne's got it. I'm sure Anthony's got it on there. Click to register, and then you can see Anthony and I kick off the session tomorrow at 8 a.m. I know that Suzanne wants me to talk a little bit about networking and getting involved in your community in order to build your career. And Anthony, what are you going to be talking about? Suzanne, what did you ask him to do? Do you know?
It's so funny you asked me what I'm going to be talking about. That's ridiculous.
So I asked Suzanne to ask. I tried to cover that one up. I should just gone straight to her.
That's a ridiculous question, Glenn.
I know. It's really dumb. Obviously, you know. I want to see if Suzanne knows.
Oh, yeah. So I want him to be talking about the passion that we need for this industry and how great there are opportunities for careers, really segmenting what we've talked about today.
Right. And did you think I knew that? I didn't know that.
I didn't know what I was talking about.
But he's curious to know.
Listen, as soon as you hit play, I start talking, and it'll work out.
That's why I make sure they have the right info.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, Suzanne. Send me a little email on where they should sign up, because I want to send it to this young lady for her to listen tomorrow.
Yes, taken care of.
Yeah, and I would tell anybody that watches your show. I mean, there's a place for you anywhere. There's a variety of school if you want to continue ed that will match you and what you want. We have it because we need you, and this is a darn fun business. I mean, I honestly can't think of doing anything else. And every time you talk to someone who's in it, we all get excited about what we do. Is there an occasional guest that sours you, or there's a flight delay? Of course.
Yes, and you can read about them on Facebook news groups every day.
But it's just the greatest place to work. And the days of we don't pay enough, those are gone. Oh, I saw your comment there from Lisa Pilata. Lisa's a great example. I'm going to throw a shout out to her. Reservations agent, raised her children, went into revenue management, now leads the revenue for hire area with the top colleagues at Intercontinental Hotels Group. Just took her curiosity for revenue and reservations and ran with it,
Yeah, listen, I don't know anybody in this industry that's miserable. If you're at a decent level and you've worked your way up, I can't tell you one person I speak to that's like, I got to get out. Now, that wasn't true 10 years ago. 10 years ago, people were kind of wanting to get out. Now, people are exhausted trying to find people to come into the industry. People are overworked. I get that. But if they're really committed to this industry, they're happy because they see it like I see a bad guest. I've never had a bad guest that pissed me off ever in my entire 38-year career, because I had fun, because I turned them around, and then, maybe in the back I made fun of them a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I did that. But to me, it was a challenge. Yep. Like you're yelling at me, and you look like a fool, and you're really not mad at me. You got 27 other things going on in your life, and you're taking it out of me. So, okay, I'll let you do that. And then I'll get you to laugh, and then I'll get you to hug me, and then I'll probably make fun of you when you walk away. To me, it was always a fun, I just like having challenges. It's been my nature. And, just this business, listen, I run out of breath. As soon as I'm done here, I got another meeting, but as soon as I'm done with that meeting, I'm going to go do a video about what you just said. I'm going to post it about why they should watch All Stars and why they should go into hospitality. And it's because this is a sexy, fun industry. And then I'm going to have somebody pull all of the jobs around, to show kind of how fun it is. it's kind of like, if I say to you, do you want to be an actor? Everybody's like, oh, don't be an actor. It's horrible. It's terrible. Don't be an actor. Every single human being you talk to, if I say, would you like to be in front of my camera? They say yes. If you say, would you like to hang out with, whoever, Tom Hanks? Yes. Everybody watches entertainment. Everybody watches these people, but don't go into entertainment. Don't go into acting. It's a tough business. Yeah, it's a tough business. Hospitality is a tough business, but it's sexier than Hollywood. Trust me.
Yeah. All right. I love it.
Add one other thing into that is the culture, right? So you talk about people leaving and making changes. I truly believe that if you're in a spot and you're not necessarily happy, don't just look at leaving the industry, look at the culture. And not every business operation is the right fit, but there is the right fit for you. And once you find it, embrace it.
And that's a good point, because culture in every business is difficult to find. In our business, for a long time, we killed ourselves because our culture was terrible. When I grew up in this industry, I was petrified of everybody, but they didn't realize I was crazy. So I just ran past them and just kept on going. But I was petrified every day I went to work. But I wasn't letting them kill my spirit. And I just ran past them. But I was petrified. The culture sucked. But once I was in charge, I got to build my own culture. And for a couple of years, it sucked under me too. But then I got wisdom and I got religion, and I realized if we're having fun, we're gonna beat the competition.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
All right, we got to wrap this up and get moving. Peter, we got to let you have one more plug for yourself, for your program, and anything else that you want.
Really, I'm just so happy to be in my job, and come do a certificate with us. Remind me that you watch the show. I'll pay half myself, and lifelong learning and fun is all we do. And I'm a big part of that. So go hospitality.
If they watch the show, you will give them 50% off of their certification.
Yeah, I'll do it. I do it myself.
That's
well, you're going to double the price up front, though.
Peter,
no, Glenn.
I just want to apologize, Peter, for your competition being on the show and kind of taking your thunder.
We're not competition. One thing after COVID is we're having the first ever Dean Summit in Orlando of the State University programs. First ever, because we all need to think and strategize together as an industry.
Who started that? Who was
Cynthia, who's the interim dean at UCF, Michael Chang at FIU, and I. We've all talked about it, and we've all said it. We all did it. Don from FSU, we all talked about it. So finally, UCF's in the middle, so we're all going to go in April. I don't know what our worldly accomplishments will be, but we're talking about the same issues together collectively.
Well, if you need a fun speaker, let me know. I know somebody.
Awesome. Thank you guys always.
Who sucks, then you could call me. All right. So we'll keep it with that. Hey, thank you for being great lightning to Suzanne's thunder. You guys rock. We will see you later. Anthony, always a fun one, I got to tell you. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I unfortunately have to give you props. That was a good thunder lightning thing. That was good.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Listen, you want more great lines like that? Well, why not listen to us wherever you get your podcasts? Just download No Vacancy. Also, if you want to watch us, you know where to find us. Facebook, LinkedIn, novacancynews.com, and of course, YouTube. I want to thank everyone for being here. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
See you later, guys. Bye.
That's what happens when